Hello and welcome to A Life of Creation. My name is Chad and I'm the host of this channel. If you liked what you've seen so far, please like and subscribe and click the notification button so that you know when I release new videos. And if you have anything else you want me to cover, please add it in the comments and I'll do my best to reach out to people that you want to hear their stories about. But today we're talking to Jeremy Fuller, who spends his time digging in the hills of Utah and sharing that experience with others. And they are looking for Red Beryl, which is in the same family as emerald, except it's red and not green. And it is even more rare than emerald. It's only found in 3 locations, all of which in the United States, and 2 of them are in Utah. Jeremy's going to be the first one to try some new questions. I switched up the 10 questions recently, and Jeremy's going to be the first one to do it. So let's hear his answers. Just use an overlay. All right, I'm here with Jeremy Fuller. He's going to be answering the 10 questions. We'll start with question 1. What does it mean to you to live a life of creation?
Well, I think it's living a life of creation means uncovering Mother Nature's hidden beauty and sharing it with the world. It's about preserving integrity of these rare gemstones and giving others the opportunity to experience the thrill of discovery. I think that's what I think about that creation.
The treasures that you are uncovering and sharing with the world. I mean, incredible. Like, I would never think that there's something like that under the ground unless I saw it, you know?
Absolutely, it's amazing when it first comes out. When you find your first gem, you're absolutely hooked. I think most people that actually collect these gems, you get a fever. I call it the fever, the beryl
Yeah.
fever, the topaz fever. It's gem fever once you dig them and see one that came right out of the ground. It's just an amazing experience.
Do you actually remember your first one?
Kind of remember maybe not my first gem that I ever found, but I remember the trip. So, and I remember the results. So I remember having like 20, 30 different crystals that I found on that particular trip. And I still cherish those today. I actually have those in my
Wow.
my collection. It's sentimental. They're nothing great, but
Right.
it's something I can look back on and see how this basically made it so I wanted to go into this field. So I really enjoy looking at those particular crystals.
Question 2. I think most people view creators based on the end result and don't really see what all goes into the creation. So, based on what you do, what are some things that are crucial to your creation that most people don't see?
Yeah, people see the final gemstones, especially the people that work on them and facet them, but rarely understand the effort behind them.
Right.
And it's also important to talk about the ethics of mining. That's why there's been a big push for USA gemstones recently, is because if they were mined in the USA, they're going to be ethically mined. Everybody hears about that term blood diamonds and things
Right.
like that. So it's important to know where these come from. Um, the long hours of excavation, careful extraction, techniques, even the research that goes into uh, finding the mines, finding where these occur, and number one is the patience to require to locate these minerals is very crucial, but often unnoticed when it comes to this.
I've read like 3 books on gemstones. I wouldn't even know where to start looking anywhere. So, I mean, you're not only learning about minerals, you're learning about geology,
Yep.
how to read the actual land and see the signs and things that point to the possibility of something being there. And then you're figuring out how to navigate through all of the land in order to find those pockets. And yeah, I could see people not understanding how much work goes into the actual extraction of these
Yeah, and
minerals.
even learning about how to form a mine, um, it's pretty complicated. You have to look at just even with what land you want to be searching. Obviously, there's public land out there, there's private land, there's even state land. So you have to know the rules and regulations of where you're digging or even prospecting. The last thing you want to do is prospect on somebody else's mine. And sometimes they're not obvious that something is mined or claimed.
Right.
So you have to go through the proper ways to determine the land status too. Is when we're going prospecting. We use online tools now, but back in the day when I first started this, we'd have to go down to the BLM or the state office and do research with maps. And so it's very important to know where you're at with technology now. It makes it a lot easier, but you
Right.
still have to do that extra research, and sometimes you even have to go into like the BLM office to take a look at the maps in order to know if you are okay to prospect on that land.
Would you actually know? Because, in some of the books it talks about, how many tons of earth is moved in order to find, a certain number
Yep.
of diamonds or whatever. Do
Yep.
you, knowing how much earth is moved in order to get so much, you know,
Yep. Yep. So yeah, that's always the $1 million question. Um, there's people that study their whole lives to figure that question out um, based upon experience. For instance, I'll just reference the Red Beryl. Actually was been a report done by the Kennecott Mining Company. They actually had purchased part of the Wawas down there, and there's a report that was out there that they determined there's one quarter of a carat per ton of material that was extracted. Now, I think that's hard to quantify exactly
right,
how they got those numbers, and at our mines, it's totally different from what they were experiencing. So I couldn't tell you an exact number,
right,
but it's a lot of material that comes out before a nice fastable gemstone comes out of the ground.
right,
Now we have a lot of uh, specimen grade that comes out, and when we do tours, for instance, our average numbers of red beryl found in a day per person on a full day is around 5 red beryl. So and that's depending, that's some people only find two, and some people find 20. So that's kind of an average of where we're at with how many people. We've never had somebody come out and not find a red beryl.
right,
So it's hard to quantify unless you did some really advanced research that would be very costly
right.
to do.
But I mean, that's, finding a good facetable grade barrel. I mean, that's rare
Yep,
still. So you're still moving a lot of earth.
absolutely.
A lot of people watching this probably don't have a lot of knowledge on that world, but they might see how expensive some gyms are. But I think it's important to know or to shine light on the fact that it takes a lot of hours of work
Absolutely.
just to find specimen stone large enough to then go spend hours on a lapidary table and cut. So there's a reason why some of these things are so expensive.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I think because of what you do, people don't they just see the jewel at the end and they go, it's beautiful, but they don't understand just like
What went into it? Yeah. The
how much.
dedication.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thinking about these questions for you, I was like, that's something I'm learning as I read is just how much work it goes into just finding something that is like usable in a jewelry setting.
Yep.
Because like even diamonds, everyone knows diamonds and they're super expensive. And Red Beryl is, I would say, more rare than
Yep.
diamonds. And
Absolutely.
but even to get a nice diamond, they went through tons and tons of dirt. Like they don't just find nice diamonds very often
No.
either. So that's why they're so expensive. I think that's a good thing for people to know.
Absolutely.
Question 3. Do you believe you need to be passionate about what you create or do?
I think it's number one because mining and collecting is not easy.
Right.
I mean, it requires dedication, resilience, and deep appreciation of the process. I mean, without the passion, it would just be labor. So people get sentenced to the things we do out here. You really have to love it to want to do it. We actually get excited about going out and breaking rocks,
Right.
and that's something people are usually sentenced to. So you have to 100% be passionate about what you do. And I think that's every field, not just mining.
Right.
Um, like I said, there's only few days out of the year where I feel like I'm working, and that's usually in the middle of the summer when it's 100 degrees and I'm out there for 4 days straight.
Right.
That third and fourth day aren't too fun, but
Yeah.
other than that, it's still you have that passion inside you, and if you didn't, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Try to find something else to do. I still get excited. The tour I had last week when I sat down there, and I always like to look at people's. I call it the remainder. So if we're out here doing a tour, I'll let people screen on their own, but I'll say, hey, put what you're going to throw down the mountain off to the side,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to look at it for you. And I even get excited about looking at what somebody else has looked at
Right.
because I want to make sure they find everything. I don't want to throw a red barrel down the side of the mountain because I mean, it takes a skill. There's
Right.
kind of a learning curve to find them. So I'd like to make sure everybody gets everything that the mountain's providing to them for the day.
Right.
So
Yeah. Question 4. I don't think your creation has to be good to grow from it. Um, what are some things you create that might not be considered great, but something that you gain value from? And then, do you have any words of encouragement for those who get discouraged when their creations fall short of their expectations?
yeah, so in regards to digging these gemstones, not every dig we're going to find a museum worthy gemstone or a stone.
Right.
But each discovery, it's important to know that even how small, it teaches something valuable about the land and the process. For those who get discouraged, I just say, the beauty isn't just the result; it's the journey of the process that you've been involved in. And I think the journey is even better than some of the discoveries we find. Um, some of the most memorable moments, especially me mining or doing tours, haven't had anything to do with actually finding the gemstone. It was actually us the physically digging the dirt. And so I think that's important to know. It's the journey of discovery and the education that you get from what you do. I think that's important to know.
Like I was telling you earlier, you're kind of like the first like non-musician photographer that I've talked
Yeah,
to. And already just your answer right there just made me realize just how connected we all are because everyone has said just focus on the process and the journey. It's all about the journey, you know? And it's like, yes, that's as people who are doing their passions, it's the journey.
it
And
is.
you're a totally different field than, what I'm in and everything, and we all love the process and the journey. Question 5. Not all creators would consider themselves artistic. Do you believe you have to be artistic to live a life of creation?
Absolutely not. I mean, I feel like I'm probably one of the least artistic people around. But you do have to have a vision, you know.
Right.
For instance, like with mining and collecting, it requires you to see something beyond the surface. You have to imagine what's hidden underneath and understand how to bring it into light, So
Right.
that, I guess, that's sort of an artistry in and of itself. But other than that, I don't feel like I'm extremely artistic. I do my best, but if, like, for instance, with photography, I mean, I have a lot of appreciation for you. I actually have a photographer that takes our minerals. So he gets a salary every month, and I have him do our photography, and he's amazing. And so he's an
That's
artist. So
yeah.
that, yeah, you got to give where credit's due and get it to the people that have, and he's passionate about it. So that's why I do that. You got to know your strengths,
Yeah.
um, and then give and have people around you that have strengths that help your own strengths. You know what I mean? They have different strengths,
Yeah.
so you're all a team that work, and you all have different strengths. So, like I said, I don't consider myself an artist. If I had to draw a picture, it's going to be a stick figure. It's not going to look very good.
Right. Well, you mentioned collecting, and one of my first videos was my case that collecting is a form of creation because you're building community with fellow collectors, you're preserving and learning about, you're gaining knowledge. So it's like you're putting all of this work into a collection and that you are then displaying to someone else. So you're presenting something.
Yep.
And because you've spent the time to learn it and understand it, you're going to present it well. Where someone who doesn't do that research, it's going to look, half-assed or whatever. I think people need to stop thinking about creators as just artists because you're presenting something like your gemstones and your specimens. You present them well because you understand them and you make them look beautiful. They were formed beautifully, but you present it well because you know them to show off the beauty.
Yeah, I
That's just
just think I'm a small hand in Mother Nature's beauty, to be honest, and that's
right,
how I look at it. So,
right. And most artists would probably say that in some capacity. It's a higher power. I'm a Christian, so I believe God gives me the abilities to do these things. I'm formed that way. I think everyone is just a vessel that gets fed, and then your job is just to put it out there.
absolutely.
And yours
Just
is to dig it up and put it out there.
just be the best person you can be, whatever
Right.
field you're in. Just if you have passion, and that's the way to be. You just got to just be the best whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
be, and that's what you need to do in life.
Question 6. Is there an experience or a time in your life where you realized you were a creator?
I think, looking back on it, the first time I uncovered a perfectly formed crystal, I realized I wasn't just extracting a gemstone. I was revealing something that was millions of years in the making. And in that of itself, mining is sort of an art form in that regard.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I just feel like I'm just part of Mother Nature's creation. I'm the vessel pulling it out of the ground so I can actually share this with other humans. And what's neat about when we have tours, you get to have that same experience with the public, and it is
Yeah.
just an amazing experience.
I mean, you're fortunate to be able to basically wow people all the time with just the beauty that comes out of the ground,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I'm just the tour guide, so it's like if somebody was showing they're down doing horseback riding in Yellowstone or
Right.
something like that. It's something similar to that where it's Mother Nature's beauty. We're just the educator, I guess,
Right.
is a good way to put it.
And you're showing, everything that, the world offers, There's so much beauty. You're not a miles square operation, probably. So a small little pocket in the hole is
Yeah,
producing these, like, on the ground is producing these incredible, beautiful, unique to that location only, pretty much, beautiful gemstones.
absolutely.
Question 7. Was there a family member or a friend encouraging you to pursue your passion for creation?
Absolutely, and I'll just go back to my parents. I want to thank them for all their support. I mean, if it wasn't for them and my especially my mother, I mean, encouraged me to go into geology specifically. She knew she'll give you examples of me coming home from kindergarten with my pants falling down because I have so many rocks in my pocket. So she sort of encouraged me in that and didn't say it was a bad thing.
Right,
She actually said, hey, that's a positive trait and I want to educate you. So she helped me find the right programs, like for instance that fifth grade science program
right.
that took us me out to the Thomas Range, which actually started the catalyst of all this.
Yeah.
So I just want to really thank my parents, and then obviously John, who encouraged me when I was still a teenager to work with him, and then even take this to another level with his help. So those two groups, my parents and John, I would probably have to thank the most.
I mean, it's crazy to think that your path essentially started in that on that fifth grade.
It did,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, and it just was the catalyst to everything.
Wow.
Looking back on it.
My kids just bring home trash that they found at school. I'm like, why'd you pick that up?
I don't know. I mean, they can find treasure in anything, sometimes,
Yeah.
which is neat.
I mean, they have a dad who just walks around picking up rocks. So, I mean, it is probably my fault that they just pick up anything that looks interesting to them. So I try not to be too angry.
They're natural born treasure hunters, is what it is.
Yeah,
So, and you can encourage kids to have that spirit, I guess, even if they're bringing home something maybe that's not valuable by
right,
any means. They found it interesting.
yeah,
So, the encouragement is what's very important.
right. My oldest, for one of his birthday parties, wanted an Indiana Jones theme because he wanted to
Oh,
be an
nice.
archaeologist.
Oh, that
It,
is awesome.
he's never seen the movie, but
Oh, you need to watch
well,
that.
at that point he might be okay now, but at that point, like, those is just too intense for him. But he watched the making of, so he got to see how they did everything. Because we're trying to make it like it's not, it's all fake, It doesn't. You don't need to be scared about any of this. But so that made him excited about it, and he wanted to be Indiana Jones, and he's the one who's into dinosaurs and the fossils, and he has that treasure hunter passion already, I think.
Well, I hope I meet him someday because he sounds like kind of the similar spirit that I had back when I was that age.
Question 8. Where do you find inspiration? And do you have a creative process that you follow once inspiration hits?
I think honestly, nature itself is some of the greatest inspiration, and then actually people I have on the tours, just seeing their passion actually gives me inspiration. I mean, when we see the rugged mountainside and mineral veins, I know there's a story waiting to be uncovered. I mean, the process involves research, of course, and careful excavation and sharing the experience with others when we're doing tours. But uh, that's how I gain inspiration. Really, is honestly from others, and then just being out in nature.
I mean, you have quite the office that you get to go to.
Yeah, and I like telling people that too. When we're up there digging, I said it's a nice view from the office today. I
Yeah.
say that almost every day I'm out there.
I stare at a blank wall.
Hey, sometimes I have to. The business is not just the collecting. It's
Right.
the cleaning, the selling, and I have to work on a computer too. So at
Right.
times, that's my most hated thing I do. I'd rather be out digging, of course, but it's part of the business,
Right.
especially with a small company. There's only a few of us employees, so I don't have an extremely large company. But I guess if you get big enough, you could kind of divvy that out to other people. So
Right.
and just focus on what you love.
Question 9. Not everyone gets paid to create something that they are passionate about. But where do you see the value in people still pursuing their passions even if they aren't getting paid for it? And then how can we encourage others to live a life of creation even when their creations seem to go unnoticed?
Yeah, so this is a good question. I mean, I think not just in our field, but any field, passion-driven pursuits enrich our lives beyond monetary values. I mean, if you're passionate about it and it's important in your life, it's going to enrich your life. I
Right.
mean, mining basically has connected me with some incredible people, some of my best friends that I've never would have met if it wasn't for the industry I'm in. I mean, it's taken me to absolutely breathtaking locations and given me a deep appreciation of nature. Um, Even if you're not getting paid, the fulfillment of doing what you love, I mean, honestly, is priceless.
Yeah,
So that's how I
definitely.
feel about it.
Well, your answer made me think of something. Have you been to like a different mines around the country?
I have
Okay.
some of my favorites is just in your neck of the woods, the Paula Chief Ocean View Mine. I go there almost once a month.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
so I try to go 10 to 12 times a year. And so I'm down there quite often in your neighborhood.
Nice.
One of my favorite mines I went to last year was the Thank You Lord claim. Brian Bussey owns that. It's up in on Mount Antero. So it's above the tree line. It's like 13,000 feet,
Whew.
and you can't work as hard. So I'm down around. So our mines are in the like maximum 6,000 feet range. You're talking, double that. And so one of the most incredible experiences. I mean, he actually hit a big pocket while we were there.
Oh wow.
He actually had his best year in 27 years of collecting, and it's something I'm going to actually go back every single year, and that's part of the reason why my July is turned off on my calendar, because I am going to go to a few of these places that aren't 100 degrees outside. It was quite fun. We were actually out there in July, and during the day it might have got up to like 80 degrees, but at night it was actually cold.
Oh yeah.
It was so cold. Like I don't think I brought enough gear, but this year I'll change that. But man, it was absolutely freezing, below freezing actually in July at
Oof.
night up there.
No
But it was
thanks.
it was a lot of fun. It was breathtaking views. I mean, I like to consider the areas I dig is kind of rugged beauty.
Right.
There's a lot of sagebrush and juniper pines and things like that. But in regards to like beautifully green, lush, and all that, we don't. That's not our area. We're in the
Right.
desert. Up in Manantero, it was just lush and green and beautiful, and just being up in the pine trees
Yeah.
was just it was an incredible experience.
All right. Well, last question. How would you like to see yourself grow as a creator?
It's a really good question. I want to continue expanding opportunities for other people to experience mining and collecting firsthand. I mean, whether that's through tours and education, I want to get more into the education
Right.
and obviously new mineral sites. So I hope that more people can appreciate the Earth's hidden treasures, really. I really want to, I kind of wanted to start sort of a nonprofit in regards to teaching children in regards to the collecting and that. I wanted to call it Junior Miner.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna try to work on that project. It's kind of one of those things on the back burner right now. But like I said, I love when the children, especially, are passionate about the industry, because I think actually we kind of have a dying breed. The industry, when I go to mineral shows and that, it's kind of all older folk. There's
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of up and comers, so there's kind of people my age. There's not a lot of people my age. It's kind of like older guys and then the super young. So actually, I think the industry is coming back in regards to the internet
All right.
and just YouTube and that, and people seeing videos. And I think it's actually getting a new generation of people that are up and comers in this industry.
It's funny because when I started getting into it, I'm a type of person, if I get into it, I just tell everyone about it.
Yep.
Um, and so I've talked to a few people about rocks and gemstones, and they go, "Oh, you should check out this guy that I follow." Like there's a group of people, my age or younger that are like kind of falling into because they're starting to have a little money and we all like shiny things but the videos, you
Yep.
see the people working on these things and just the beauty and the talent and skills that they're putting into these things. So I think people started appreciating it.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting you said it too, because I called a lapidary to see about cutting something for me. He thought I wanted to learn lapidary, so he like called me and started talking to me about lessons. I was like, no, no, I want you to cut. But he was also saying he's like, if you have any questions about it, please call me. I feel like our art is kind of dying. Not a lot of people are doing it.
Yep.
So we are to the point where we're happy to share info with people. Obviously, if you want the class, you got to pay for it. But any tips on how to get going, get started, if you're looking for a tool, let me know. I could probably help you figure that out. And that is something I've seen very much in, the mineral world is like there's so many people who just love talking about it and helping.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Like I've hit you up several times on Instagram, Steve,
Yep.
Steve the miner. You know, I hit him up all the time. Guy in Singapore. I've talked to some other jewelers who cut stones and stuff, and it's just everyone's just like you could just tell that everyone loves this industry.
I think it is comes back to passion, where
Yeah,
we want to share our passions, and we see somebody that has even a mild interest in the passion, we're gonna want to talk to you because and try to help you as much as we can. So
right.
it's tight knit industry, it really is, and I'm appreciative to be part of it. To be honest, I feel blessed. I really do.